Hey guys, Lodicus here with an achievement walkthrough for Redfall. In this guide we'll be covering all missable achievements and how to maximise your first playthrough. Before jumping in, I'm going to give you a few pointers on what to expect and highlight what missions you'll need to look out for. First of all, 2 playthroughs are required to get the full completion. Sadly, in the second region of the game, Burial Point, there's a main mission that has 3 possible endings and only one of which can be exploited by dashboarding. You'll need to play several hours of co-op multiplayer to build trust with other heroes. This trust experience is earned through doing in-game activities such as killing enemies, doing missions. It'll take you roughly 2 hours per partner, but obviously teaming up with larger lobbies will certainly speed up the process. It can be done at any point in time and doesn't have to be with the same player, it just has to be with the same in-game hero that you partner up with. There's also a couple of points of no return, one halfway through the game and one at the very end, but I'll cover those off shortly. There's also a total of 100 collectibles called grave locks. These all have to be collected on the same hero, but thankfully they carry over to New Game Plus, so you won't need to collect the same ones twice over. Before moving on to a more detailed look at the missables, let's quickly discuss the points of no return. These are the missions that will progress you on to the next town. If you haven't completed the missions, safe houses, mini bosses or collectibles before accepting these missions, sadly you'll miss out on the achievements in those zones and you'll have to start a new game to get them. In Redfall Commons, the first area that you start in, keep an eye out for the Hollow Man main story mission. Accepting this will lock you out from doing any other missions in this area, so I suggest leaving the Hollow Man mission to the very end when you are ready to move on to Burial Point. On the second map location, Burial Point, the very last story mission, the Black Sun, is your point of no return here. The only way you'll be able to get back to Burial Point after this point is either starting a new game or starting a new game plus with that same hero, so ensure that you clean up all the achievements in Burial Point before accepting that mission. Now let's have a deeper look at the missable achievements found in Redfall Commons. We have a total of 5 main missions and 4 side missions that have missable elements within them. When accepting any of these missions listed here, just double check my video timestamps below and see what those missables are. There's also a missable achievement here relating to the vampire nests and a rare vampire, the Wailing Shadow, that only spawns in this map. So before accepting the Hollow Man main mission, which is the point of no return, ensure that you secure all 5 safe houses, do the quests within them, defeat their mini-bosses, and then clean up any optional main and side missions before moving on to Burial Point. Just note that there is 45 grave locks to grab here. If you don't grab these on this first attempt, you can grab them again on New Game Plus. We're now going to dive straight into the missable achievements themselves. I'll do my best to arrange these in an order that you'll likely reach them in. However, some of the story missions do branch off, so please double check the mission name in the timestamp below to ensure you don't miss them. The first missable you'll likely bump into is I Spit on Your Grave, which is to steal Dr. Hunt's father's pocket watch. Once you've completed the first 2 story missions, they'll branch off into a choice of 3. The very top one here, a grave situation, is the one related to this achievement. Once you've accepted the mission, you'll then be asked to go to the graveyard, which is at the very southern edge of the town, where we'll have to return a pocket watch to his father's grave. As you get to the grave site, there'll be a couple of cultists as well as a couple of vampires roaming around the grounds. Just make sure you deal with them, and then shortly after that we'll go over to the gravestone and place the pocket watch. The gravestone itself is pretty obvious, it's the large one in the middle. There's also a blue identifier on the top of it where you're supposed to place the pocket watch. Just walk up to it and then press X to place the pocket watch on the top. What this will do is finish the mission, but before we leave and go back to the fire station, what we're actually going to do is hold X on the pocket watch here to steal it back. If for whatever reason you've left the area, I do believe from the comments that you can come back here and retrieve it again. Just return back to this gravestone and you should be able to collect it. Along with that achievement, you should also get one for picking up a blood remnant, which was the pocket watch itself. Around this point you'll start discovering safe houses. There is a missable achievement in one of the safe houses called Someplace to Be to get to a supply drop before it lands. This is classed as a side mission, which is from the Shade Tree Heights safe house. So as soon as you've captured this safe house, you can just head inside, or if you already have it unlocked, just fast travel to it. Interact with the mission board on the wall here, and then you should notice that there's a Bellwether supply drop mission available, and this is the mission that is required for this achievement. So just accept that mission, and then we're going to head back outside. You should have an additional marker on your map now, which shows you where the communications laser is. The communications laser is what kicks off the supply drop, so we're not in a rush at the moment. We can take our time, clear out the enemies on our way up to find the laser. The laser is usually on this balcony on the top here, and just press X to call in the supply drop. And then we want to be quick here, so just mantle over the balcony and drop down. Doesn't really matter too much about the fall damage. And then we're going to head out to the dry lake and look up into the sky. You should see 2 supply drops coming in, and what you want to do is sprint as quickly as possible underneath them. So the objective here is to get underneath them before they actually disconnect from the parachutes. So you do have about 20-30 seconds to get yourself in a position underneath them. They do kind of sway around in the wind, and I do believe the drop locations are a little bit random. They're not the same every time. So I've spotted this one at the back that I'm going to follow. It was the one that was slightly higher up than the other one. Just work your way around the environment and the terrain just to make sure you can get underneath it. And this looks like a beauty spot here where it's going to actually drop. So I'll stand somewhat near it, not directly underneath, and voila, the achievement pops as soon as it gets released. If for whatever reason you didn't make it in time and both drops are now on the deck and you haven't got the achievement, what you can do here is hard reset your Xbox, so dashboard it, close the game out. When you load it back in, you'll be right at the start of this mission again, and then you can go out, activate the laser again and have another go. Do this as many times as you need until you get the achievement. We're now going to move on to our third missable achievement, which is called Skin of Their Teeth. This is to complete a voice in the dark with all hostages still alive. Once you've completed the first 2 story missions, it'll then branch out into 3. The very bottom mission here is called A Voice in the Dark, which is related to this achievement. Once you've accepted the mission, you'll have a choice of 2 locations to go to, either the shipyard or the broadcasting centre. In this guide I'm going to be going to the shipyard first, as that is where the hostages are located. However, I don't think it matters which way around you do it, you'll still need to save the hostages. Once you get to the shipyard, there's a big blue warehouse at the very back, which I've come into here. There only seems to be one way into the hostages, which is to go into the main warehouse, climb up to the very top, and you come through this door in the very top of the warehouse. As you come into the room, you'll find a number of cultists milling around patrolling. There's one in the middle where you'll find the 4 hostages. So if you pan across to the middle of the room where it's rather red, I just sent the Raven out to do some marking there. You'll actually find an executioner in the middle of the room. I think as long as you take this person out first before they do anything to the hostages, you should be pretty safe, because all these other guys are just standard cultists and they seem to ignore the hostages and come directly for you. So I was using a silent sniper rifle for this bit, just to take out the executioner. I do fluff up a shot here, don't quite get the headshot. It does get alerted and we do get 5 or 6 cultists run in. However, like I said, they don't seem to go for the hostages, they just come straight for you. So just take out all the cultists that come into the room, and then eventually the alert music will die off, and then you're free to go down and release the hostages. Just walk up to each one individually and hold X to release them. Unfortunately, you won't get the achievement at this point. We have saved them, but you won't get the achievement until you finish the mission completely. So now that we've released all 4 hostages and they're safe and sound, we just need to finish the shipyard part of the mission, which is to come upstairs and get the diagrams. To get into this room, you just need to climb through the hatch on the very top. Now that the shipyard part's out the way, we've now just got to go over to broadcast controls and turn the broadcast off. You can go in silently or as loud as you want, it doesn't really matter for this part, there's no hostages in this building. We're then just going to get the key from the kitchen downstairs, open this back door, and this is the recording room where the broadcast's being put out. Just kill this guy and then go into the music booth at the very back, turn off the recording, and you should get the achievement for Skin of Their Teeth for rescuing all the hostages. Now that you've completed 4 of the main story missions, vampire nests will start appearing on the overworld map. There's a missable achievement called Empty Nest Syndrome to destroy a nest's heart without waking or killing any vampires. So we're going to go towards the closest vampire nest to the fire station, which is just on this embankment here. Once we approach the door and hold X to enter, we'll get the achievement pop for enter at your own free will, which is to enter your first nest door. Now that we're inside the instance of the nest, what we're going to do in here is go through as quietly as possible without waking any of the vampires. In this nest itself, it has 3 vampires which are currently asleep. For the purposes of time, I'm going to speed up this video a little bit because I was crouched going through very quietly. This was my first nest, so I wasn't sure what to expect as I was going through. As I'm milling along, we will pass some bodies that the vampires have been feeding on. These guys have ammo and supplies if you need them. Now at the very end of this corridor here, we're going to spot our first vampire, which is asleep. It's best to approach him while crouched. Make sure you don't go too close to him either, because that'll also wake him up, so keep as far away as possible. You'll also notice the silver tendrils that are coming off him. If you break the beams on those, that'll also wake the vampire up. So make sure you give it a wide berth and you don't touch the tendrils. Now that we've sneaked past that guy, he can be totally forgotten about. And now we're going to move on to our next vampire, which is just over this ridge. This guy's got like 3 tendrils coming off him. One of them's quite high up, so what we can do here is actually crouch underneath it and not break the beam. So that's how we get past that one. And then the third and final vampire in this nest is actually asleep just outside this movie theatre. This one's a little bit tricky because he is close to the door, so we're going to have to approach him quite close. Obviously getting a wide berth as possible. I'm not going to jump here, I'm actually going to use the lip to get me up the curb. Although we're not going to touch the tendrils, we did get really close to him, so he has woke up slightly. He does have a look around, but we broke line of sight and we're out the way, and then he just goes back to sleep again. In this nest within the movie theatre, you do need to turn the projector off before you'll gain access to the heart. So I'm just going up to the stairs where the projection room is, and then I'm going to climb through the window and turn the projector off. Now with the projector off, we can climb back out of the window, back into the seating area, and you'll notice that the screen has now become a window or a big door that we can venture through, and through this we're going to find the heart of the nest. Currently the heart is invincible, so you start shooting at it, it's not going to do any damage at all. What we need to do is sever the 3 connections that are tethered to the heart at the moment. Once those 3 connections have been severed, we'll then be able to find a weak spot on the heart and destroy it. The weak spot itself is like a crack within the heart. The UI will also put a little heart symbol above where the crack is. So just get yourself alongside it, shoot the crack, and it should destroy the heart. Here we'll get both achievements, one for destroying our first nest and one without waking any vampires. Once the heart's been destroyed and the nest starts collapsing, you'll have around 40-45 seconds to loot as much gear as you can. So the walls there that you can see directly in front of me, those will crumble away and you'll find lootable items behind them. Loot as much as you can within the time limit. Once that expires, you'll be then kicked back out to the overworld. Our next missable achievement's called Saw That Coming. After a few main story missions have been completed, you'll be able to speak to Joe and accept the quest The Abducted Brother, where you'll find this achievement. For this mission, we'll have to head over to the other side of town to Joe's brother's house, which is marked here on the map. As we approach, you'll notice a safe house opposite. That's got a laser turret and some cultists outside. Those can be ignored for now. What we're going to do is move around the back of Joe's brother's house, and we're going to let ourselves in through the door. There doesn't appear to be any enemies inside, and we can go straight down into the basement. As we go down in the basement, we'll hear cries coming out from a particular door. This is actually a trap, so what you want to do is quickly open the door and step back as quickly as possible. As long as you don't get hit by the explosion from the trap, you should instantly get the achievement. If for whatever reason you do get hit by the trap, you can quickly dashboard, load up your game again, and you should be able to retry this mission without getting hit. Our next missable achievement is called Ask Not For Whom the Horns Blow, which is to disable the foghorns. This achievement needs to be earned on the main story mission Fall Like Lightning. Before heading out to sea to the boat, what we're going to do is go to the lighthouse first of all and disable the foghorns. The lighthouse can be found here on the map where I've just put that pin. I found the easiest route up to the lighthouse was actually going along the path or the road to the west of it, and then you'll eventually come into this car park area where there's either going to be cultists or vampires that you need to dispose of. Then head to the right and go across this little footbridge. Once across, we're then going to go into this large museum type building on the left hand side here. Just go on through the main doors, head up the stairs, and then there's a long corridor which we're just going to shoot along. There would generally be enemies around here, but they've been cleared. This door at the end would be closed, and then there's a watcher on the very top of the roof before you go into the lighthouse. Just dispose of him with a keen headshot. We're now going to approach the building that is attached to the lighthouse. There's a door on the front here which is locked, so as long as you've got a lockpick you should be able to get yourself inside. Once in, we're then going to turn off both the generators by using the little levers on the side of them, and that should pop the achievement for Ask Not For Whom Blows the Horn. If you hadn't disabled the foghorns before going to the ship, sadly you've missed this achievement and you will have to deal with a larger amount of vampires on the ship. Once that achievement's popped, we're then going to move on to the next missable achievement. Our next missable achievement, Starve the Beast, relates to a side mission which can be found in a safe house. The side mission for this achievement requires you to go to Sedgwick Safe House. This is the safe house which was found beside Joe's brother's house. Once you've cleared the safe house, head inside and interact with the mission board there, and you should find a mission called Metamorphosis. Accept that mission from the board and then make sure that you're stocked up with plenty of ammo, because what we're going to be doing is killing blood bags, and these of course are the guys that blow up or kamikaze into you. So make sure you've got some decent weaponry to take lots of these guys out, because we're going to be taking in the region of 20 to 30 out. Head over to the mission location, but not too close to the point so it automatically activates. Just scout out the area, making sure there's no hostiles around, because they will aggro over once you start the event. Once you're happy that the area is clear, head over to the amber where the vampire resides and get ready. Quick 15-second countdown before the event starts. At this point you're going to have multiple enemies coming at you. You're going to have some cultists as well as the blood bags. So the objective here to get the Starve the Beast achievement is to stop any of the blood bags getting anywhere near or exploding on the chrysalis. If they do, the nourishment meter will move up from 0% and we will have failed this challenge. If that does happen, not all is lost. What you can do is dashboard and close the game out. Once you load back into the safe house, you can restart this mission again. As you can see here, I'm just defending the vampire in the chrysalis here, making sure the blood bags don't get anywhere near. I am using the UV gun to stun them, turn them to stone, and then I can punch them so they don't explode. Eventually you will start getting cultists coming along as well, and obviously the UV gun's not very good for those, so I do switch to my pistol, blowing up the blood bags before they get near the chrysalis, and also taking out the cultists so I don't get killed. Just rinse and repeat this for 2 minutes and you should get the achievement, as long as you keep it at 0% and nobody blows up near the chrysalis. I'll be honest, this took me 2 attempts to complete. I did fail on the first time round, so I did dashboard and reload the save again. You'll also see at around the 30-second mark that I do get quite lucky that everybody gets clogged up behind a van and they can't actually come down to the chrysalis, so that bought me a load of time just to relax and reload all my weapons. Just one thing to note, there is actually 2 Metamorphosis missions. There's one in Sedgwick Safe House, which is in Redfall Commons where we're currently at. But then you'll eventually transition into Burial Point, where there is a Haven's Lot safe house which also has a mission. I do die at the very end, but the mission has completed. I have got the achievements and I can quite happily die and then move on to the next mission. Our next missable achievement, called Avenging the Good Doctor, is a part of a main story questline. The achievement can be earned on a grave situation, Find the Doc, which is the third and final part for the Doctor's questline. Here, Dr. Hunt has returned back to the gravesite to get his father's pocket watch back. All you need to do is return to the graveyard which we first went to, Kill the vampire that's lurking over Dr. Hunt's body, and the achievement should pop as soon as you kill the vampire. I'm marking this one down as missable because if you do go ahead and kill the Hollow Man before completing this quest line, you won't get this achievement. We're back to safe house missions now for our next missable achievement called Dexterity save. This is to collect the survival tips without triggering any of the tripwires. This is part of a side quest called Taking Back the Airwaves, which can be found at the Heritage Rock Safe House. Once you've unlocked the safe house, head inside, and then on this whiteboard you should find a note which will start the quest for Taking Back the Airwaves. This will then direct us to Bill's house, which is on the opposite side of the map. Just give that a quick pin and then head on over. Once you get to outside of Bill's house, the front door will be barricaded, so we'll need to go around the back. There is also a grave lock there, which I picked up on my way around. You will need a lockpick to get into the building from the back door, and then I recommend getting 3 rewire kits because there is multiple tripwires in here that we can disarm. Once I got the door open, I was greeted by a vampire, which I swiftly dispatched. And then if you notice in the background, there is 2 trip mines in the kitchen. What we're going to do is duck under the first one, and then this next bit is really tricky, so pay attention. What we're going to do is stand up and then jump onto this table where the computer is, not touching the trip mine, and then we're going to slowly shuffle our way while crouched over to the edge here, drop on top of the bin and then drop down, and you should go under the trip mine. And then we're going to head up the stairs. There's one on the stairs here which we can disarm if you brought a hack tool. Really difficult or nigh on impossible to get up here without the hack tool, so please bring at least 2 or 3 along with you. And then we're going to disarm these last 2 mines here. If for whatever reason you do get caught by one of the mines and die, quickly dashboard the game before it has chance to save, and then you can go back to the safe house, start the mission again and try again. Once you've disarmed those 3 mines on the stairs, just head into the office and pick up the tape recorder, giving you the achievement for Dexterity save. For the next missable achievement called A Cry in the Dark, we're going to destroy a rare vampire called the Wailing Shadow. This rare vampire can be found in the top left of Redfall Commons, just where I'm placing my marker here. At the very top of the hill beside the mansion, you will find a hilltop gravesite. This is the point at which you can summon the Wailing Shadow as long as you have a flare gun equipped. So before heading up here, make sure you actually purchase or have one in your inventory, get it equipped, and we're going to head up there. I'm approaching from the south side of the mansion, but what you're looking for is that large cluster of crows or birds in the air. As I make my way up the hill, I do spot this ghost on my left hand side here. He does have a tape recorder which you can play, but I don't think it's necessary for this achievement. Just make your way up to the top of the hill where the crows are, and then you should get a notification in the middle of your screen to say that you've reached the hilltop gravesite. Just gather yourself in the middle of these dead bodies here. Make sure you have the flare gun equipped, look up into the sky and fire a flare into the crows. Give it 5 to 10 seconds and then eventually you'll have a purple puddle or shroud that appears on the floor. Once that's appeared, just walk into it and then the Wailing Shadow should appear from it. And obviously we just need to kill the Wailing Shadow to get the achievement. She plays out similar to a shroud, so she puts up a defensive barrier, she puts up smoke screens and throws orbs at you. She is quite difficult because she is a lot higher level than you are, so just be careful, make sure you keep topping up your health. And then once she's finally knocked down, put a stake into her and you will get the achievement for A Cry in the Dark.
All clear.
That now concludes the mission specific missables. You can now concentrate on cleaning up all remaining main missions apart from the Hollow Man. Ensure you get the achievements for completing all the side missions, securing all 5 districts by capturing the safe houses, completing their missions within them, and then defeating the mini bosses at the end. You can also look to collect all 45 grave locks before moving on to the very final mission of Redfall Commons to kill the Hollow Man. Once you've defeated the Hollow Man, you'll have the opportunity to earn 2 missable achievements in the Psychic Woods. Nice try and right this way by opening the wrong and right doors. These 2 achievements are linked to the Other Side mission, which is the very last one in Redfall Commons as you move to Burial Point. As you make your way through the tunnel, you'll be met by this projection. This guy tells you that you need to find the red door and she'll be satisfied, meaning that you should be going through the red doors to progress through this mission. In this guide we'll be going for the nice try achievement first, which is go through the wrong doors. The wrong doors are of course blue, so as you approach the door and before opening it, it'll glow either red or blue. We're looking for the blue ones. There's found one here, so we're going to open the door with X and then just wander through. We'll then get a mocking laugh to suggest that was the wrong door. We'll be thrown back to the start of the woods, just need to wander back down again, and then you can either use the same blue door, just walk through that again, or you can use the other blue door within the room, which I'm going to do here. Again, as you walk through, you'll get another mocking laugh and thrown back to the start. Rinse and repeat again, so we're just going to run back down, and then we have both of the blue doors currently open, so just wander through one of those and you should get the achievement for nice try. What you can then do is dashboard the game and quit it completely, doing a hard close. This shouldn't save any progress and throw you back to the very start of this Psychic Woods mission, where you can then go through again and pick the red doors. If for whatever reason you've made your way through to Burial Point and the game's progressed into the new map, you will need to start a new game to get back here to the Psychic Woods. In the second half of this guide, we're going to show you the red doors this time. So same process again, we're going to just walk up to the doors and check what colour they are. This time we're seeking out the red ones. So this one's blue in this instance. Another blue one. So this one must be red. Open up, go through, and then you get a slightly different instance of the wood with some additional enemies added. And then you just keep opening the red doors until you get to the very end. And as long as you've opened just the red ones, you should get the achievement for right this way. I'll let the rest of this video play out up to the point that I get the achievement for going through all the red doors. And then once this mission's complete, we'll pick it up at the other side at Burial Point and I'll discuss all the missable achievements you can locate there.
Go on, bird. Dollars to donuts, I bet all this key shit is important. Same as the Hollow Man, this butterfly obsession.
Is this our time? I see. Pathetic. Depraved. I know sickness. I know death. We'll see each other again.
As we've now transitioned into Burial Point, let's do a quick rundown of the missable achievements that can be found here. We have 5 main and 2 side missions that have missable elements within them. The mission One of Us will require 2 playthroughs, as you can only get 2 of the 3 achievements on that mission within the first playthrough. So just ensure that you check the video timestamps when accepting any of these missions. There's also a few achievements relating to completing the Blackwood Sisters puzzle, visiting a mausoleum and looting an item from the restaurant, which I'll cover in this video. In Burial Point, the mission The Black Sun is your point of no return, so just ensure that you secure all 8 safe houses and their mini-bosses, the 55 grave locks, and complete all main and side missions before accepting the Black Sun quest. Because once you've completed this very last mission, you'll be then forced to start a new game and you'll start again in Redfall Commons. So let's jump into it and do our first missable achievement in Burial Point. Our first 2 missable achievements in Burial Point is in the mission What Does Bellwether Know?, which can be found on the second mission in Burial Point. First of all, we're going to go for the Rum Runner achievement, which is to get into the stronghold using the bootlegger tunnel. Here on the map where I'm about to mark is where you'll find the tunnel. Ensure you go to this tunnel first before going to the farm, otherwise you're going to miss the achievement. As we approach the ravine just west of the farm, you should notice a white grain silo. At the base of the silo you should find the tunnel which we need to go into. It'll be lit up with UV lights and have 2 trip mines in the way. If you're Jacob, you can phase through them. If not, you'll need to take some disarm kits just to remove the bottom one, and then you can crouch underneath. Once you've cloaked through or disarmed the bottom trap, just move on through and break the wooden board. In the next section of tunnel, you should stumble across 2 vampires. Just dispatch of those as safely as you can, and then we'll move on further through the tunnel. Now that the 2 vampires are dealt with, we're then going to proceed further down the tunnel towards the barn. As we move up to this next section where there's another wooden board, you should get the achievement for Rum Runner. We're now going to then move on to Blacklight Down, which is to turn off the Bellwether defensive UV lights and leave them off. So as we come out of this section, we're in the basement of the barn now. Head up to this double white door, just unlock that, and then we're going to turn right here. Following this yellow power cable, we're going to follow this to the right, so vault over the wall, and then directly ahead of us you should see the generator which is powering all UV lights. As you approach, you'll get an audio prompt to say it would be a shame to turn them off. Turn it off at the switch and make sure you leave it off. And now that the UV lights are turned off, we'll have to deal with both vampires and the Bellwether soldiers. Once you've cleared the whole area of soldiers and vampires, you're then free to go around and collect the intel. In the basement of the barn, where we came in through the bootlegger tunnel, you will find a profile. Just pick that up. Then we're going to move to the upper level of the barn itself, and on the table you will find another document. Just ensure you interact with both of these, and then we'll go and get our third and final document. This can actually be found outside in the grain elevator, the building opposite the barn. Head inside, climb up the ladder to the very top, and in the very far right corner you should find a corkboard with another document pinned onto it. Once you've picked up this final clue, you should get the achievement pop for Blacklight Down, which is for leaving all the UV lights switched off. If for whatever reason you die during the mission, just make sure you go back to the generator and make sure that it's switched off before completing the mission. We're now getting to one of the more awkward missions called One of Us. This one has 3 missable achievements, and sadly you can only get a maximum of 2 in one playthrough, so this is going to take you 2 playthroughs to get all 3 of the missable achievements. So if you want to maximise your gamer score, I suggest going for Sepsis first, which is to poison the Bellkeeper's blood during the offering. When you approach the cultist base, make sure that you use their main gate, which is to the most western side of the camp. If you don't, you'll instantly become hostile when you get inside the base. After a brief conversation at the gate will then open and you're allowed to go inside. Just ensure that you don't shoot any of the cultists or pick up any of the items kicking around the base camp. If you do, the cultists will become hostile. Now that we're inside the cultist camp, we want to head to the very back, the most northern point, to the ranger's house. Head upstairs, go into the top floor where we'll have a brief conversation with Erica. She'll then want us to do a blood offering to the Bellkeeper, but first we have to go and get some blood from the sea caves. So the sea caves are to the very north on the coastal edge of the map, just on the cliff face. Head on down, and it's very linear once you get down there. You'll eventually reach this blood bag that's hooked up to this drip. Instead of pressing the button, first of all we're going to go around the back and mess around with this fuel line. This is going to contaminate the blood with gasoline. This is instantly going to make the cultists hostile that are in the room with you, so just deal with those first. Once those guys are dealt with, just press the button. This is then going to fill the blood bag with a contaminated blood offering for the Bellkeeper. Thankfully, fighting these 3 guys downstairs haven't alerted the other cultists up the top, so we're still safe. So grab the blood bag and then we're going to head upstairs. At this point the game's made a save when we picked up the blood bag, so we have a checkpoint here. Once you get up to the top, head into the middle of the camp and you'll find the offering site. Just pour the blood into the blood offering bowl at the very end. This is going to pop the achievement for Sepsis, and then quickly we're going to dashboard or close down the game before it actually saves. It'll actually save when the Bellkeeper comes out, so just make sure that you close it down before she appears and has a conversation with you. This is now going to revert us back to the previous save, which is where we contaminated the blood bag. So load up Redfall again. You'll notice that it comes up with one of us in the top left, asking her to meet her at the crane where we do the offering. We're going to then fast travel up to the cultist camp again. And as we approach the gate, head on inside. Everybody should still be friendly, but what we're going to do is shoot one of the cultists, and this is going to give you the achievement for So Anyway I Started Blasting for breaking infiltration. Sadly, the third achievement for this mission, called Bloody Initiate, which requires you to go all the way through the mission, does require another playthrough, or if you do have a friend that's up to this point or approaching this mission, you can join their game and join in. So once we got back to Burial Point and started the One of Us mission for a second time, we're just going to head into the camp, not shoot or loot anything, and then we're going to follow out all the instructions that the cultists want us to do. Head to the ranger station at the very back and have the quick conversation with Erica. Again, this is then going to take us down to the sea caves. Instead of contaminating the blood this time, we're just going to head over and press the button. This is going to instantly fill the container with decent blood, and the cultists aren't going to become hostile behind us. Once the container's filled up, just pick it up, and then we're going to head out of the sea caves up to the top where the crane is, and then we're going to place the sacrifice or the blood offering in the bowl at the very end. And because we've done everything that they wanted us to do, you should get the achievement for Bloody Initiate. The next mission that you'll probably stumble across is Lost in the Fog, and this has 2 missable achievements within it, and I'll show you how to get both of those now. This mission has 2 objectives, one of which is to go to the Coast Guard station and then one to the annex at the very north. The first achievement that we're going to look at is Lights Out, which is to cut the generator at the Coast Guard station. Once you've cut across the bridge to the station, you want to bear to your right, so go down the right hand side of the station, and at the very front here you'll be able to find a generator. Nice and simple, all you need to do is turn the generator off. This is going to bring in a load of vampires and pop the achievement. You can then continue on to complete the objective here at the Coast Guard station. Then we're going to head north towards the annex and find our second missable achievement for this mission, which is to find and kill Bob, the radio host. Bob only appears if you've completed the side mission Taking Back the Airwaves in Redfall Commons. You should have done this if you've completed all missions in that area before coming here to Burial Point. The second objective of this mission for the annex is to destroy 3 effigies which are producing a fog. From the most southern effigy, which I've just shown you there on the map, if you take the road to the east, you should find Bob patrolling. If you haven't alerted the cultists, he should be casually walking down the middle of the road. He's holding a megaphone and he also has a blue glow to him. Once you get close enough and aim at him, it actually says Bob, the radio host. All you have to do is simply kill him to unlock the achievement Bob's Final Hour. I will open the map here shortly when I get alongside him just to show you exactly where I found him.
There's something over there. Hey! Right here! Not yet.
The next missable achievement to keep an eye out for is called Under a Bushel. This can be found on the main story mission Restore the Lighthouse. This mission has 2 parts. The first one, you have to visit the keeper's house and collect the bulb for the lighthouse. It's this point we need to be careful that the keeper that patrols the outside of the house doesn't spot us. So I'm going to approach from the east side of the house, and as the house comes into view you should be able to see the keeper. As we get closer, she'll spawn in and then slowly start patrolling round to the front of the house. So there you go, she's then wandering off to the right hand side. Just let her go off that way in that direction. And then we're going to need to open the patio door, so not the front door because that requires a key, but if we open this patio door here we can get into the house. The bulb itself is found upstairs in one of the bedrooms, so make your way to the staircase and head upstairs. Here I found a vampire that was stood in the way of where I wanted to go. I believe if I waited long enough he would patrol from this spot into the bedroom and then you could slip past him. But I was being impatient, I walked up the stairs and went into the bedroom where he then patrolled into. So I was then spotted and I had to deal with the vampire. Thankfully I was able to kill him without alerting any of the other vampires or the keeper outside. So I think it should be possible to kill him if he is in your way. Once he's been dispatched or you sneaked past him, head into the back room on the right hand side. It's the one with the wooden boards up. Pick up the bulb and then you should get the achievement pop for under a bushel, as long as the keeper hasn't spotted you. If you've watched this video before attempting this and do get spotted by the keeper, what you can do is dashboard or forcibly close out your game. It'll then refer you back to the start of the mission where you can try again without being spotted. The next missable achievement that you probably won't stumble across is called Eagle Eyes. This is to complete the lost unit without triggering any Bellwether mines. This mission only unlocks when you stumble upon a cave here in the northeast of Burial Point. So if you head to this location that I'm currently stood in here, in Burial Point, you should get the mission unlocked. So here in the northeast there's a little jetty where a number of boats would have been marooned. All the water's been swept out to sea. You'll notice that there's a cave directly ahead of me here with a load of UV lights on. As we approach the cave you should get the mission start called the Lost Unit. Then once we head inside the cave we have to get through this whole mission without touching any of the Bellwether trip mines. The mission itself, we have to unlock 3 supply crates and loot a document that can be found in here. There is a number of vampires but all of them should be asleep, so you should be able to do this quite stealthily. The first set of trip mines here, there's 3 of them. What I'm going to just do is jump on this little wooden shed here, get yourself in between the trip mines and then drop down. You should be able to then squeeze underneath the last one and you're into the main cave section. At the left here there's 3 vampires currently asleep, as well as the crate that we need to open. So just going to sneak up while crouched, not getting too close to the vampires, and undo the latch on each side of the crate. Once you've opened the crate and looted the contents, you should get 1 of 3 completed for the Lost Unit. Now we're going to head down to the bottom here and cross over to the other side. We're then going to go up this ramp to the higher level. Up here there'll be another couple of vampires asleep, as well as a ladder that will take you up to the higher section. That ladder will actually take you to the top where there's another vampire sleeping, as well as the document. There's another trip mine here. I'm just going to move around the back of the UV generator there. You could have pressed X on that to switch it on, and what that would have done is frozen those 2 vampires in place. Like I said, you could have gone up the ladder which was next to those 2 vampires to get the document, but the vampire at the top will aggro and you will need to deal with it. So we're going to move around here first of all, and then there's a cave mouth to our right. What you can do here is just mantle up, go along the boards, and then we're going to just drop into the red mist for a little bit here and climb back up, and we'll find our second crate. Again, just take the latches off each end, open the crate, and that's number 2 of 3. Now that we've looted that crate, we can then head back down the tunnel. If you did have a UV gun you could take out that mist sprayer, but for the speed here I'm just going to mantle my way through the mist and get hurt. Then once we come out back into the main cave section, we're going to stand on this rock and look directly down, where we'll see a turret. You could destroy the turret, but in this case I'm going to hack it, so I'm going to UV gun that mist sprayer in the distance there. Once it's turned to stone, drop down. I'm going to rewire this turret. Now that the turret's friendly, we can head over to the crate and release both of the latches. This will be our 3rd and final supply drop that we've opened. And now we just need to go and collect the document, which again is in the large tower back up at the top. So we're going to clamber out of this pit and then head up to the tower. So there again, we're going to avoid this very last trip mine here. Going to give it a little bit of a wide berth by climbing over the generator. Past these 2 vampires that are asleep. 3 vampires that are asleep even. And then we're just going to sneak under this guy that's well awake. And there should be a document here to collect. Picking up that should give you the achievement for Eagle Eyes for not setting off any of the tripwires. The next missable achievement that I'm going to cover is called Revelations. This is to listen to Pastor Thrall's recording. It can be found in the story mission What's in the Attic. So once you've started this mission, you'll have one location that you need to go to, which is the pastor's house. Once you get to the house, you can go in as loud as you like. Once you get to the front door, you should already have the key which was given you at the start of the mission. Unlock the door, head inside, and we're going to go upstairs into one of the bedrooms. So open the door, dispatch of any enemies that you might find in here, and then we're going to head upstairs, take a right and head into the bedroom. On the floor you'll find the church attic key, which is needed for the quest and the main objective here. But before leaving, we just want to interact with this voice recorder here, which will unlock the achievement for Revelations. The next missable that we're going to talk about is Enemy of My Enemy, which can be found in the side mission called Eclipsed. This can be found on the east of the map in Founder's Knoll. Displayed on the map there at the start of this video, you should be able to find it in this locked garage. As long as you've got a rewire kit, you should be able to hack the door open and then start the quest, which can be found on the floor. This quest line is then going to take us to two different locations. The first one's going to take us to Independence Hill, where we just need to activate a receiver. It's not until we move to the second location, the White Pines Trailer Park, where we'll need to free Trevor Ash and get this missable achievement. So once we get to Independence Hill, here you'll find a radio. All we need to do is press X on that, and that's going to show us the next location that we need to travel to, which of course is the trailer park just to the southeast here. As we get into the trailer park, you should see a large amount of UV lights. These UV lights are what are holding Trevor Ash in place. So all we need to do is approach one of the trailers here, and beside it you'll find a generator. As you've guessed it, all we're going to do is turn the generator off. This in turn is going to then free Trevor. He's going to roam around and start killing all the troops, and it's going to pop us the achievement Enemy of My Enemy. That should now cover all missable achievements relating to main story and side missions in Burial Point, so it's that time again to go around cleaning up any remaining missions, grave locks and safe houses before you start the final mission called the Black Sun. However, there is a few miscellaneous achievements that have no missable elements to them, but you may struggle to find them as they are mission related. So let's cover those off quickly before you attempt to complete Redfall. So the first one we'll jump into is called Sisterhood. This is to discover the fate of the Blackwood sisters and collect their heirloom. The starting point for this puzzle, as it's not really a mission as such, is the Blackwood house in Founder's Knoll, just to the very east of the map. Once you've found the house, which was located on the map that I showed you at the start there, just head inside. You'll then find a map of Burial Point in the living room. There will be 4 photographs pinned to the map. These are the locations of where we can find the sisters and their corresponding keys to open their bedrooms upstairs. We're going to go to the closest one first, which is the garden overlooking Twin Tree. This is just to the southwest of the Blackwood house that we're currently residing in, so we're just going to head back out the back door and head over there now. I'm not going to speed up this part of the video, I'll leave it running in real time, so if you are watching this video side by side while you're playing the game, you can follow along. Once we get to the top of the hill, which is overlooking Twin Tree, we'll meet one of the sisters, which is Hester, who is now a vampire of course. Once we kill Hester, within the pergola behind her, you will find a key to her bedroom, and that is one of the 3 keys that we need for this puzzle.
Ghosting out.
So we've now reached the top of the hill, which is overlooking Twin Tree, and as you can see, there is Hester. So once you've killed her, at the very back in the little pergola here at the back, you should find her key on this table here. Once you've picked that up, we're now free to move on to the next sister, Catherine, which you can find her at the cave at the edge of Dire Cliff. So Dire Cliff is the encampment at the top with the cultists in. I'm going to be guiding you there from the safe house, which is just at the base of the cliff, just to the south here, which is in the substation. So we're just going to head up the hill here. There is a mist spewer in the way, so I'm just going to quickly dispatch of him with the UV gun and then give him a quick punch, and then we'll continue on. We're going to go underneath this bridge. Once we're out the other side, we're then going to bear right and then come back on ourselves again, turn right, and we're going to head up this right hand side of this cliff face, follow this round, and then go around a couple of corners here, and then as you're looking over to the substation again, instead of going up, we're going to go down a little bit, go right down the edge of this cliff face, and if we follow this around long enough, we will find a cave on our left hand side. Just outside of the cave will be a couple of dead bodies, so you'll know if you're going the right way. Here's the bodies that I mentioned. And then on the left here where the bodies are is a cave entrance. Throw on your flashlight so you can see where you're going. Head inside. And at the back of this cave you should find Catherine. Just dispatch of her. And then once she's killed and looted, on the right hand side where we came in, you'll be able to find a key to her bedroom. Just make sure you pick that key up before moving on to the third sister, Agnes. She can be found in a cave to the very west of the map here, up in the top of the hills where New Light Village is. I do happen to have the historical marker up there, so that's where I'm going to fast travel to, and then we're going to work our way to the cave from here. So just head far west as you can, and then you'll eventually get this stone ramp here, which kind of loops around. So just get to the base of the ramp, clamber up, and then work your way around. It'll snake around to a cave entrance, which we're then going to enter. And same as we did with the other two sisters, we'll go in and find Agnes at the very back. As well as Agnes, there is 3 cultists that are doing some sort of ritual at the very front of this cave mouth. The wall or the column that these 3 guys are facing are actually where the Agnes's key is located for her bedroom. So just take out the 3 cultists first of all. Once those are being dealt with, then take out Agnes, and then go ahead and loot the key, which is exactly where I'm looking at the moment. Should find it up against the middle column here in a kind of little dish. Pick that up, and then we've got all 3 sisters and keys collected. We can then head back to their Blackwood house and then complete this little puzzle. So I'm just going to fast travel back to Windy Stead, which is right next door to it. Mantle over the wall, head inside. We can't yet get into the basement where their heirloom is located. We still need that key. It can be found in one of the 3 bedrooms, and it tends to be the 3rd bedroom door that you open. So I'm going to open the 1st bedroom door, not go inside, 2nd door, then do a 180 and open the 3rd door, and this should be where you find the key. The key will be usually located on their dressing tables, but you may need to have a little hunt around. Once you've got the basement key, as you guessed it, just going to go back downstairs, open the basement door, head downstairs, and once we've looted the trinket from this little container, we should get the achievement for Sisterhood. The next miscellaneous achievement that we're going to cover is called What Lies Below, to uncover the Irving family's mausoleum. So if you just head to this location that I've located on the map here, you should find the mausoleum. After running around the cemetery for a little bit, keep an eye out in the sky for the crows, and it should be underneath those. Head over to the front of the mausoleum here, and then you'll notice that it has a little bell outside. What you need to do here is ring the bell 6 times quite rapidly. Once you've rang it 6 times, the door should open and you should get the achievement pop for What Lies Below. The third and final miscellaneous achievement is called Check Please, and this is to loot Table 12 Remnant. Table 12 can be found in the Jolly's Seaside corner, which is right next door to Howl's Neck Safe House, which is on the very west side of the map. Once you go into the Seaside corner, just head upstairs, and at the very back you'll find Table 12 with a container on it. Loot that and you'll instantly get the achievement. Now just double check that you've smashed out all those achievements in Burial Point and you should be ready to complete the game. As we approach the very final boss fight in the mission The Black Sun, you should stumble across Joe Creelman, who has now become a blood bag. Just make sure you kill him for the achievement before opening the door to the final boss. Once you've completed the final boss encounter, you'll grab the last few achievements for finishing the game. Sadly, you probably have to do another run to get that last missable achievement for the mission One of Us, but it shouldn't take you too long if you just speed through to Burial Point. I hope you found all the information in this guide somewhat useful. It's took me several days to get it all created and put together. Please drop it a like and consider subscribing if you want to see more content like this in the future.